As you can see, I partake in the act of playing video games. It may be shocking, but this activity comes from having to own video games and a video game console to play said games. You can get video games in two forms, in a physical form or in a digital form. As for consoles, you can only get them in physical form. I can't even begin to comprehend what a digital form of console even look like, let alone how it would function. And I wouldn't count the PlayStation 5 digital edition as a digital console, because it's only digital in the fact that it can only play digital games, not that it's a digital console. I guess the closest thing we have to a digital console nowadays is like cloud streaming services like Google Stadia and whatnot, but you still have to plug in a physical thing like the USB or the Chromecast. I don't know what you plug in. I don't have a Stadia because I am smart with my money. No, I'm not. Anyways, most people nowadays get their games in digital form, and I can't blame them because that's the most logical option. It's convenient because you don't have to deal with the hassle of owning a physical thing, and it's cheaper since the digital versions often go on sale for crazy low prices. So why do I still get games physically? It's simple, really. I just really like how they look on a shelf. That's why I began collecting video games. Well, there's much more to it, like the history aspect, the game hunting aspect, and such. If I were to go into it, it would just extend this video way longer than it needs to be. Instead, we can jump right into talking about my collection, because who doesn't want to hear me talk about it? As the title of the video suggests, it's been roughly a year since I've been collecting. You could make the argument that I've been collecting since I first started playing video games. But I say it's been a year because a year ago, I consciously told myself that yes, I do in fact want to subject myself to financial ruin. Originally, around September, I begun by having my collection in two separate locations. First location had my Wii and 3DS games. Second location had all my Switch games. Eventually in the second location, the Switch games outgrew this little cubby area, so I had to move them here, and I added a few things like controllers and the Let's Go Eevee box. In the first location with the Wii and 3DS games, I had my collection and TV setup combined, which made switching games super easy. However, generally speaking, the whole two location thing was super impractical, so about a month later, I brought the two locations together and simultaneously separated it from the TV setup. Then I was left with this. With everything all in one place, I finally got a real scope of the size of the collection, which was much bigger than I had anticipated at first. Since I had put up the collection on top of a drawer, I had to use a bunch of boxes to prevent the games from tipping over and falling off. Despite my efforts, the game still ended up tipping over somehow. But I stuck with this drawer setup for a long time either way. A few months passed and my collection grew larger and larger, expanding to include new consoles like the DS and Xbox 360. But with that, I started running out of space at the top of this drawer. It got to the point where I had to move my 3DS and DS games into this little cabinet in my desk. Meanwhile, back atop of the drawer, I began to stack my 360 games sideways due to a lack of space. And it sucks so much because everyone who stacks their games sideways knows it's a pain in the ass not only to take a game out, but to put it back in its spot. Now look when it's done the right way. Boom, quick and easy. I knew I had to get a bigger place to move the collection to. Eventually, I was able to get this shelf headboard thing, and as soon as I got it, I immediately moved everything over to the new shelf, leaving me with this. The games definitely took way more space than I anticipated, but at least it was some room for growth as opposed to none like before. Something I really liked about this new location was that each case size was separated into its own little section, those being DVD size section, Switch size section, and 3DS/DS section. Before, it was somewhat jarring to see the difference in case sizes right next to each other, so it was definitely a welcome change. This is still my current setup as of now, and it's grown a bit since the last photo update, mainly the addition of original Xbox games and the insane growth of 360 titles. I've gotten so much 360 titles because they're so incredibly cheap and they're easy to find anywhere. Seriously, look anywhere, there's probably one in between the couch cushions. Other than that, if you look very closely and squint your eyes, you can see that my Switch collection grew by a couple of titles. As for my 3DS and DS section, I'm pretty sure it didn't even grow at all since my last update photo. There's no reason why. I mean, I just didn't get any new ones because I guess I was too occupied with getting 360 titles. But yeah, that's pretty much the progression of my collection over this past year. But there is one thing I've neglected throughout this video so far, and you definitely, without a doubt, have been wondering why I failed to mention it. That thing being my consoles. Where are they? Like, I've shown the games, but not the actual consoles themselves. So what's going on? Originally, as seen before, my console was part of my collection when I first started off. But when I moved into the new location, I decided it would be best if I put my consoles apart from the collection, because I wanted a whole setup dedicated solely to watching movies and like playing games. Kinda in a way where like so it's like you're only focused on the screen, if that makes sense. I didn't take as many update photos like I had done with my game collection, since I feel as though it didn't change much that often. The oldest picture I have was taken around November-ish, so a couple months after I took collecting seriously, and it was fine for what it was. But a big ick I had with this is how you could see the mess of wires. Although it wasn't really noticeable from this photo, it was bad. However, it wasn't as bad as it had been before that. Now that was horrible. I wish I had taken a photo of how bad it was, but unfortunately I didn't do so. So the best I can do right now is describe what it was. So basically, since I didn't have a TV stand, I had to use a Home Depot box to hold the TV up. And the TV I had was supposed to be wall mounted, but I didn't have it on the wall, so I had to lean it against another Home Depot box. So on top of the first Home Depot box was another Home Depot box with the TV leaning on the other Home Depot box. And then on the side of this makeshift TV stand, I had my 360, Switch, and Wii on top of this little Toy Story chair because I didn't want it lying on the floor. And this chair was like so old, I don't know how it was able to hold it up, but it did. And something that would inherently come with this horrible setup is a bad wire situation. And I mean, man, was it bad. It was all over the place. Thinking back to how it was makes me so grateful for what I've been able to turn my TV setup to over this past year. Now, this is my current TV setup. It's nice and open, it has a clean look to it. I was able to upgrade to this bigger TV stand that has this fake fireplace thing that I absolutely refuse to plug in because heat paired up with this abomination of wires behind the stand is something just as seen from my house end up in flames. This stand also has two cabinets on the side where I keep important things like controllers and some DVD. In addition to the TV stand, I upgraded to a way better TV. Before I had this 50-inch 1080p TV, which wasn't bad, but I knew there were definitely better TVs out there. Now I've upgraded to this 65-inch 4K TV, and its picture is pretty damn good. So I'm pretty satisfied with that. Currently, I have 4 consoles hooked up to the TV: Switch, Xbox 360, Wii, and PS5. I got the Switch on top of the stand so it's easy to grab for handheld mode. PS5 is also on the top of the stand for the sole reason that it's absolutely humongous. Like it's literally half of the height of the TV. As for the Xbox 360 and Wii, I keep them in the shelf below. I'm pretty satisfied with the setup. It should last me a long time since I could fit 2, maybe 3 more consoles, and the TV is modern enough to keep up with the newest consoles. And that's pretty much the story of my collection and TV setup so far. Now let's have to talk about some interesting things a part of my collection. First up, Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City. Probably one of the best finds I found out in the wild. I bought these for 50 cents at a thrift store, and both are valued around $70 together. So yeah, I consider that a pretty good deal. Sonic Unleashed. Oldest game I have because I got this when it first came out, and for some godforsaken reason, it's the only games from my childhood that still have been kept in case and in pretty good condition. Here's my only non-North American game, and I got it completely on accident because I ordered the European one instead of the North American one on Amazon. I didn't feel like going through the effort of returning it, so now it's an eyesore in my Switch collection, and I find that pretty funny. This special edition of Let's Go EV serves as the most valuable thing in my collection, as it rose in price, now being worth an estimated $200 as of making this video. And that absolutely baffles me, leaving me feeling absolutely flabbergasted and hornswoggled. Like, this came out back in 2018, so it wasn't even that long ago. And the Let's Go games are one of the most controversial titles in the series, like right next to Pokemon Sword and Shield. So why is it so valuable? I don't want to think the Pokeball Plus is enough of a selling point to warrant this high of a value. So this will always be a mystery to me. Here I have a binder where I keep loose games, and in this binder I have Batman Arkham Knight for PS4. And I have no possible way of playing this since my PS5 is a digital edition. So like, why do I own this? You might be wondering what happened to the dresser where I used to store my collection at. And its fate now is being the place where I stored my boxes for consoles and stuff, like the PS5 and Wii boxes, and this really old Xbox 360 for some reason. Lastly, I have DVD copies of Freebirds and Breaking Bad next to my 360 and Wii games, because where else would I put them? The trash? Yeah.